Hi friends, welcome back to the training series. I hope you're well and hanging in there. This is the 25th week of this training series, and I've got about a little bit less than 3 weeks until my next race, the Canadian Death Race up in Alberta, Canada. And boy, I'm not feeling ready for it at all. But let's talk about this week's training. As usual, Monday was a rest day for me. And then Tuesday, I was assigned playful strides amongst 70 minutes of easy running. I had a pretty decent run, but I totally forgot to do the strides. I ended up running 5.6 miles in 71 minutes. And then after work, I joined my regular Tuesday afternoon yoga class over Zoom. On Wednesday, I was assigned LT intervals and a strength workout. The intervals were 5 times 4 minutes hard with a 2-minute rest. In 72 minutes, I ran a total of 6.2 miles with 883 feet of gain. And then when I got home, I did a basic strength workout. On Thursday, I was assigned 75 to 90 minutes of easy running. Less than 10 minutes in, though, I decided I was going to stop and turn around and go back. Starting last weekend, I was experiencing some pain in my left lung, and it had hurt a little bit in the runs earlier in the week, but I just pushed through them. And it kind of seemed to improve on longer runs if I was able to cough up enough mucus or something out of my respiratory system. But on Thursday morning, when the pain was bothering me during the easy run, I decided I was going to stop. On Friday, I was assigned some rowing or easy running and a strength workout, but I skipped both. On Friday morning, I already had scheduled a follow-up doctor's appointment to follow up on my complaints of fatigue post-cocodona. So while I was there, I also told them about this new lung pain that I was experiencing. And so they did an x-ray and did some blood test to rule out a blood clot. And the test showed no problems. So far, we don't know why I had the pain. The doctor did suggest that I use my inhaler before and during the runs just to see if that would help. On Saturday, I was assigned 3 to 3.5 hours of steady endurance running. So given the doctor's stamp of approval to go ahead and try for a run, Leah and I drove down to Tiger Mountain, which is a little bit east of Seattle, to get some vertical training in. I used the inhaler before the run started, and then I proceeded to work. Man, the climbs at Tiger Mountain are such good training. They just go on forever. And every time I train at Tiger Mountain, I admonish myself for not training there more often. My lungs mostly didn't hurt during the run, although around 2.5 hours in, I did notice a little bit of discomfort, so I tried the inhaler. I'm not sure if it did anything, but I don't think I thought about the lungs for the last hour of the run. I ended up running for 3 hours and 43 minutes, completing 12.8 miles with 3,500 feet of gain. Finally, on Sunday, I was assigned 90 minutes of easy running. It was a pretty decent run, and my lungs didn't bother me at all. I ended up finishing with 6.4 miles and 1,080 feet of gain. Overall, it was a mixed week for me. I didn't really like the lung pain very much. I hope that it decides it's going to fix itself, or if it's going to continue, I hope I can get into the doctor again. I finished the week with 8 hours and 7 minutes of running for a total of 32.7 miles. Okay, let's jump into some Q&A. John got into Tahoe 200 for 2025, worries he's not ready for it, and asks, when did I feel ready to do a 200 miler? Well, that's a great question. And by the way, congratulations on getting into Tahoe. I think 200s might be the kind of thing where you never feel truly ready, and maybe you will on the starting line. When I ran my first 200, I do remember standing at the starting line, feeling an odd sense of ease and peace, knowing that I had done all the training I could do and I was as ready as I was going to be. But at the same time, it's really hard to know if you're ready. I think as I've gotten more experience running 200s, I think I feel less and less prepared every time. I think that's just because I sort of know the pain that's ahead and I know the training that it requires. And sometimes I worry that I haven't done enough. But I would just know that maybe you don't have to be ready right now. You still have a year before you have to be ready to do Tahoe 200. So you've got a lot of time this year to prepare and train and get to practice all the things you're going to need to practice so that when race day does come, you're more prepared than you are now and you're ready to improvise and take on conditions as they change. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. A lot of us have jumped into 200s not fully knowing what we're doing. So I'm excited for you to have this journey this year getting ready for Tahoe. Congratulations. Maddie asks, what do I think about UTMB? Hi, Maddie. I think in general, I don't think about UTMB. I'm not in the sort of the system of collecting stones and trying to get into the UTMB event. So generally, UTMB hardly ever crosses my mind, except when it comes up in the news like it has in the last year. And the controversy about the races up in Whistler. I think they've handled that pretty poorly. And it just leaves sort of a bad taste in my mouth that makes me think that maybe that I feel good about not supporting their races. It's not hard to treat people kindly, and it's not hard to run a good business where you are a good partner to other businesses and other race directors. So I don't know why they have to have created such a reputation for themselves. But it seems like a reputation that they have created. So maybe this is the way they want to run their things. But yeah, UTMB really isn't something that I think very much about. Becca asks if when doing weights-based strength training, if I continually up the weight or just maintain. Well, Becca, I never feel very confident or comfortable talking about strength training stuff because I don't know anything about what I'm doing. And I really didn't do very much strength training until this year. But earlier in the year when I was doing the strength training, I think I was trying to get towards the idea of maybe slowly incrementing the weight after I would get sort of comfortable with the weight that I started at. But I never really felt all that comfortable with what I was doing. So I might have, upped it a little bit once or twice, but I didn't do it very much. And then a few weeks or several weeks, maybe, I can't remember, before Cocodona, I ended up stopping doing strength training. And so now that I'm reintroducing it into my schedule, I'm totally out of shape in that area. So I'm back to using small weights again. Personally, I probably would up it a little bit, but then I would probably want to do more maintenance for me. I like the idea of trying to keep my muscles a little bit smaller, but naturally I end up having a little bit of a bigger build, and I feel like I look more muscular without necessarily doing a lot of strength training. So I don't want to bulk up anymore. I would probably lean towards maintaining once I got to feeling like I knew what I was doing. So that's my take on it. Do what works for you, of course. And I'm glad to hear that strength training has proved useful for you in your running. Patrick asks how often I interact with my coach. Well, my coach and I generally have a scheduled call each month. The level of plan that I am with my coach gives me access to one phone call a month. But then during the weeks in between, I might have a little bit of interaction over email or through Training Peaks. If I have a question, I'm always welcome to ask my coach. And sometimes I'll ask if it's okay if I do this adventure or if I pace at this race, just to make sure it fits into our overall plan. So I have the freedom to ask questions whenever I want. And sometimes I'll, post in Training Peaks how I felt during a run or about how something's going. And my coach will follow up and ask later on how things are going in that area or if I'm feeling better. So there is a little bit of an ongoing communication if there's something to communicate about. And then besides that, I try to schedule a call once a month to just talk about how things are going and general plans. So every coach is going to do a little bit differently. And it's probably a style of both runner and coach that gets involved in that. But it's been really helpful for me to have a coach, and I'm such a big fan. And so it's been working well for me. Finally, Tony asks if I've had to deal with Achilles tendonitis. Tony, I'm sorry to hear that your Achilles is bothering you. I think I did have a little bit of suffering with this back in 2019. After I ran the Zion 100, I was suffering Achilles tendonitis in my left side, and that was after running that race in ultra zero drop shoes. I had been training in those shoes for a while and hadn't experienced much problems, but after running 100 miles, my Achilles got pretty unhappy with the zero drop. And so I went and saw Tony, my physical therapist friend, and basically I was given some strength training, including like heel drops, step ups on the stairs, and things to help strengthen the Achilles. And over time, it did get better. I probably also had to reduce my training for a short time, but also for me, it helped a great deal to get out of zero drop. So I've been pretty much in 5mm drop shoes ever since, focused primarily using Topo athletic shoes. So yeah, if you haven't already spoken to a physical therapist, I would definitely start there and take a look at the shoes too. Okay, I think that's it for now. I think good set of questions this week. If you have a question you'd like me to tackle next week, please put it in the comments below. And then other than that, I hope to see you next week. Thanks a lot for watching.